First thing I do when I trim a brisket is I remove any lakes of fat on top of the flat here. I like to pick up the brisket and push my fingers in the area where I want to trim. Seasoning doesn't stick on these areas, so this silver skin that sits underneath I'm fine with. The next section I like to trim off is this thing called the heel. You can't even make sausage out of this. It is too hard and it will not render within a barbecue pit. The best way to do this is to actually take your fingers and to pull it down and to trim right behind it. And then basically when I start to see the meat peer in right in here, then that's when I know that it's time to level it out. And this is how to remove it. You always just pull away from it. So anything that is kind of brown, I'm gonna go ahead and take off. And you wanna trim this brisket while it's cold because fat will start to get real wiggly on you and it's more difficult to be as intricate with your trimming technique. Most important part about cooking a brisket is making it level. You wanna make it as level as possible and level from this side. You see how it kind of holds higher ground here? Holds higher ground here. I want it to be as level on the pit as possible. The airflow on your pit is very important when it trickles down a brisket. What I do here is this whole strip of fat right here is very important because this is raised a little bit higher than the rest of the brisket. I want 1/8 of an inch like it is all around this brisket here, but this fat right here really makes it difficult and this will take a lot longer to cook unless I take the strip out. So I start right here in the middle. I always make a line. Even though I've done it 1,000 times, I always just like to make myself a line. Once I start getting that, I'll start pulling it up. Beautiful. The fat's nice and hard still, nice and cold. It's coming off real, real beautiful. And then on these corners here, I'll actually raise it and I'll cut it at a little bit of an angle just to get this fat off here. Because even that little corner strip will make this slice really tough to cook. And again, I'm just removing this one back strip from the brisket. Now I'm going to work my way back this way, getting this big lump of fat off. And again, my technique is to always put my fingers underneath to give myself a nice tight surface to work on. Okay, and you see I'll slide that right off. You'll see a little bit of point there, and again, I will see, I want this to be as level as possible, so I'll flatten my knife out. This fat does not work well on the brisket. Now, this hard part and this point, on bigger points, they always have a harder crown of fat. I call it a crown. It usually sits right here. Sometimes briskets don't even have them, but as my measure always is if I can push on it and it's super tough and I can't make it in sausage, then it doesn't need to be in my brisket. Now at this time, I'll flip my brisket to see how level I got it. It's still a little bit heavy on this side, but I want the smoke to kind of come and do a little bit of drop. The fattier end, known as the point and or the decal on this side, will slowly melt down into the flat. It'll sit right here into a lake, and we'll see that later on.